G4 proved the point at a very expedited pace, but it's not the only example of get woke, go broke. That was just the most obvious example of adopting far left ideology, and then it ends up ultimately, you might see a little bit of bump in the short term, but in the long term, those people aren't customers. They're barely real people. I'm not saying, the dye job or the additional facial piercings or hell, even a face tattoo, because we're in the age of that dumb shit now, but that doesn't make them any less of people. They just don't support the things that they purport to believe is the correct way for society to function. They're just not there for you when the chips are down, okay? The people who are consumers at the end of the day, well, either they're apolitical or they're all being forced away from your politics and supporting other outlets. I couldn't be happier to see this kind of stuff because I'm not a CNN viewer, never been a CNN viewer. I don't know anybody who's a vocal supporter of CNN. Fuck, they just put out earlier this year their stupid streaming platform that had, 21,000 subscribers, and it closed, 22 days? I think the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial went longer than the entirety of CNN Plus being on the air lasted for. Hilarious. Multi-million-dollar burnout. But then, no, they bring in a new CEO, everything's gonna change and everything like that, right? No, you take a look at this. Layoffs hit far left CNN as primetime viewership collapses to 512,000 people. 512,000 people view something on one of the big three cable news outlets. Interesting. You can see live streams, okay? There are Twitch streams that have larger fucking concurrent viewers, okay? If you take a look at the 7 days, there are probably many live streamers that are on YouTube that also get bigger fucking audience over a given point in time. And it costs them a fraction of what that is. Whatever a microphone and a fucking webcam costs. That's their overhead, as opposed to CNN that has thousands of people. The fact that they can go through rounds of layoffs and still perfectly function just goes to show you that these things just got too fucking inflated, okay? Hopefully, and I'm very trepidatious in saying that it's over or anything like that, but I think we're starting to crest the hill when it comes to peak wokeness, and over the next couple of years, it might get rockier, but ultimately there's gonna be light at the end of the tunnel. My prediction, don't really have anything to kind of gauge that on, but the fact that everything just continues to collapse, that embraced this collectivist ideology, I think we have some counterpoints to this balance, and we might be able to come back and fucking retake this battle on all fronts. CNN, far-left propaganda, outlet that denies election results and encourages violence in predominantly black neighborhoods. Kind of a spicy take, but not one that's incorrect. Will be hit with massive layoffs before the end of the year. Per the statement released Wednesday from CNN chief Chris Litch. Appropriate now. The left-wing extremist behind Colbert's failing late-night show. Right, he came over from, what does Colbert run? The Late Show? The Tonight Show? I don't fucking know. They're all garbage now at this point. There's no Johnny Carsons. There's no Dave Lettermans. There's not even a fucking Jay Leno out there. There's Jimmy, just fake guffaw Fallon, and what's his nuts from The Man Show. Like, nobody's left. Does anybody unironically watch that shit anymore? Or is it just the same charisma vacuums that they purport to be movie stars going on there right now, for fuck's sakes? So another era that might be over when it all comes down to it is these people who continue to fail in their positions over the past, I would argue, about decade at this point. They just continue to fail up in Hollywood. Now we're starting to see repercussions, so who knows? We'll see if Chris Litch ends up getting the fucking big yeet after, what was his name? I can see him now. He kind of looked like Marvel's Kingpin, and Mr. Peabody had a kid. Jeff Zucker. There we go. I was just going to say it comes to me. But yeah, he was gone at the beginning of the year, and now Chris Litch can't do fucking anything with this disaster zone. The fake news outlet is facing noticeable change that, by definition, is unsettling. These changes will not be easy because they will affect people, budgets, and projects. Whatever. Gee, I wonder why that is. Even with hotly contested and consequential national elections, I got that mostly correct, just fuck off, less than 2 weeks away, CNN, most commonly called CNN LOL, which is Greek for pig fat with lies, is earning humiliating ratings. Yeah, there's like a big fucking election that your side has pretty much given up on at this point in time. Like, they just continue to trot out all of their fucking terrible candidates like John Fetterman. They get skunked on the stage, and you guys are like, oh yeah, make sure you go out there and vote November 8th. It'll be very important and shit. It should be wall-to-wall coverage right now. People should be at peak interest when it comes to news coverage. And as you can see here, during the week of October 17th, so yeah, this was, what, about 2 weeks ago at this point, CNN managed to attract an average of only 512,000 total primetime viewers. What the fuck are you actually doing at this point in time? Jeez, sheesh. Throughout the day, CNN attracted an average of just 458,000 viewers. Do they still have that contract of having all the televisions in the airports active? Because it looks like about 400,000 is on their base level. So, I don't know, man. Does that count for everything? Because, whoosh. So the overall overall viewing numbers for context: Fox 2.3 million. Yeah, Tucker's Tucker, and Tucker's going to be a juggernaut regardless. MSNBC 1.12 million, and CNN 512,000. It really makes you regret not pushing harder for Trump, because back in the day, like, nobody was beating Fox, but still, you'd combine the might, and I use that term incredibly lightly. MSNBC and CNN, they were at least, when you'd add up the viewing totals together, they might surpass Fox News, or at least they get goddamn well close. But that right there, 1.6, that ain't shit. That's a fucking Tucker clip that goes up on YouTube. And then during the day, 1.4, just about 1.5 for Fox, and MSNBC, 719,000, and yeah, like the aforementioned CNN at 458,000. Holy fuck. Nobody cares about this shit. When there isn't something to rage about, leftists don't turn out. They don't want to consume anything. As opposed to the old boomers that just kind of watch for fucking news. It's almost like, they just want to be informed. They don't need to have their rage machine filled. Unlike the leftists out there. Because you take a look at that, and it's a stark and obvious conclusion to arrive at. We could break it down even further, but I think it's fairly fucking obvious, okay? You could argue that the TV model isn't really, it's not angled at the youth that's out there, even though you take a look at 25 to 54-year-olds and, CNN during the day, and then even, in prime time, hovering in on or around 100,000 people, which is, whatever. That shit is skewing older, so maybe these politics aren't quite as palatable for the older folks as it would be for the younger folks. But then you take a look at social media and the fact that the meta umbrella of companies are failing in real fucking time, real fucking hard. Mark Zuckerberg has lost $100 billion in net worth amid Meta stock collapse. That's Meta, okay? That's not just Facebook. And the fact that Facebook is collapsing, at least on a micro scale, it's something to note, because they've just been a consistent growing platform for over a decade at this point. And now they've started to falter when it comes to user growth. And now it's all fucking collapsing. And that includes what? Instagram, obviously, and their messenger service, I hear, is top tier. Like, that's the best of the best that's out there. And WeChat as well, and all of those different platforms. But what else is there? Oh, right, that whole metaverse thing. Oh, right, Mark Zuckerberg was going to own all of our free time, and that's what everybody was fear-mongering over. Oh, it's just basically going to be like Ready Player One. Not saying that that's not ultimately what's going to happen. It's just the technology isn't there. Nobody's fucking using it. These headsets are still hundreds of dollars. You still need a big old fucking room to set them up in. I'm just tapping into my old, gaming acumen from way back in the cut. You need a big old space for that stuff in order for it to be functional. And still, trying to attract anybody who's not like a hardcore gamer into setting up for a VR experience, it could be the best thing since sliced bread. But if you have an inferior product, it's not going to fucking catch on. It was like that craze with 3D TVs back, 10 years ago at this point? It's weird, all these comparisons were about a decade ago. Or maybe I'm just a little bit off when it comes to that stuff, right? 3D TVs, curved TVs, that was all the rage as well, yep. But here's the thing, if you need something like that to succeed, you need a gigantic pool to draw from. But again, Facebook, Instagram, all of the different meta programs, meta platforms that are out there, they cater to a very, very, very small subset of people that are out there, okay? Their politics curate their direction of the company, and their And that direction has led them to those broke millennials and Gen Zers that just think that feelings and internet hatred is literally as bad as real life violence, so we can't have that on any of our platforms. And guess what? Those dumb motherfuckers are broke as a joke. So you reap what you sow, you get what you fucking deserve. Mark Zuckerberg's net worth plunged by another $11 billion on Thursday after the Meta platforms reported another quarter of disappointing earnings. So disappointing, in fact, I've seen a clip of Jim Cramer, like the perpetually incorrect takes on finances that still has a mainstream media show. I think he's on, CNBC? Fucking hilarious. He was crying about being so terribly, drastically, pathetically wrong about the direction of Meta stock. I don't know why that dude still continues to fucking find work. I don't know, maybe soft hands and a fucking warm mouth. Who knows? With some saying that his wealth has dropped more than $100 billion in 13 months. Zuckerberg was once worth $142 billion in September of 2021. Boy, that seems like a lifetime ago now, doesn't it? According to Bloomberg News, now the 38-year-old, is estimated to be worth about 300, he fucking wishes, 38 billion. Oh, according to Forbes, Zuckerberg is worth even less at, oh man, why are you kicking this fucking Android while he's down? Sucks to suck, I guess. 35.9 billion as of Thursday afternoon. Oh, that broke bitch couldn't even afford to buy Twitter out. That shit's going to be happening tomorrow, and that's when I'll be talking about Twitter specifically, because I think we can kind of gauge what the direction of Twitter is ultimately going to do to where we're going to be heading over the next couple of years. Spoiler for that video that I haven't made, or we don't even have the fucking final news on yet. But anyways, it comes after shares on the Meta platform, which owns Facebook and Instagram, dropped 24% on Thursday to $98.20. Okay, we'll use real people words. About a year ago, Meta stock hovered at around $320 per share. Holy fuck, you feel like an idiot if you bought in at that price. Investors rushed to dump Meta platform stock after hours on Wednesday, pushing it down 20%, wiping out $67 billion off the market value, after the company posted a fourth straight decline in quarterly profit. I wonder why. The Milano Park, California-based giant, said its overall expenses could rise as much as 16% next year in anticipation of what the operating losses at Reality Labs, that's the metaverse, the unit responsible for bringing the so-called metaverse to life, will grow significantly in the next year. Yeah, but nobody's using that shit, because I've also been seeing some reports that it's like, yeah, it sure is a wonderful concept, but it's empty, and it's still kind of in that uncanny valley stage. Not too dissimilar to like 90s CGI, where even at the time it's like, ooh, that looks kind of alright, and kind of rubbery and shit, and it sure is, novel for the time. Not quite like the T-1000 from T2, but I'm thinking more like Mortal Kombat Reptile style, where it's like, ooh, that's impressive you guys can do that. I can't wait for it to actually get good. And then just going back and taking a look at that old stuff, and it's like, fucking Christ, that's horrific. But that's what they're expecting you to do, and spend all of your fucking time in the metaverse off the back of a... It's an innovative idea, okay? Innovative. That's the word I was looking for. Idea. Okay, something that, yeah, I do not doubt that we're going to end up in one form or fashion in the future, but it's still going to be in the future. Continue to make this stuff work, okay? They bought in one generation of technology too early, right? Because it was kind of weird, because if you were also following gaming at the time, back when they actually made new games, Facebook of all people, it's like, you guys bought up Oculus Rift. What are you doing? That was the cutting edge of VR technology. It had all the big minds in gaming behind it, and that was supposed to lead the forefront to the VR headsets whenever they'd eventually come out, and that entire field is kind of stagnated because there's nothing good to do on it outside of just the whole, wow, this is so neat, and kind of weird exploring simulators. It's like, okay, put out something good, and then people will have the impetus to go out there and buy it. It was kind of like when Avatar first came out, and funny how we're going through this cycle once again now that Avatar 2 comes out here in a couple of weeks or about a month or something like that. I don't even know, nor do I even fucking care. James Cameron did have a pretty spicy take about Marvel movies, which it's not inaccurate, but still, okay. Avatar came out, pushed out the entire 3D viewing experience, okay. Everybody had to suffer through that whenever they went to the theaters, okay. You had the choice between, a couple of select viewings during just a or using a traditional screen, or you'd pay what, $5 or $10 more for a ticket, so you'd had the ability to put on some cheap paper glasses, or eventually they started to upgrade up to the plastic ones that still kind of fucks the guy who wears glasses. If you could have just made 3D TVs that functioned without the additional technology, it would have taken off in some form or fashion. It's kind of like with the metaverse, okay? If it didn't involve the goofy fucking headset, if it didn't involve the high price of investment, you might have something there. It's just a little too early. And who knows, if everything continues on with what's going on here with the big meta collapse, it's not going to be Facebook bringing us into the future, okay? And I think we can all agree that's probably for the best, because their policies are a bit fucking sketchy, okay? It's just, oh God, it's uncertain which direction the future is going to go, and you can only bet, and you can only surmise that maybe the people who pick up this technology, carry this torch into the future, might even be worse than Zuckerberg. Holy. So long story short, get woke, go broke isn't just an internet thing. It isn't just a peripheral issue. This is affecting big business, big tech, and it's having big consequences. Couldn't happen to nicer people, though. With all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.